Shalom. All praise to Yah, about Shimmy Hawashai. Double honest to elders at GMS. You brothers doing this work. And right now I wanted to show a quick video update and show you this thing is Salakia. My throat. This thing is brewing up quicker than every day. Seems like something new is coming to these prophecies. But let me get in here real quick, show these videos.
Barbara Starr is at the Pentagon for us with this exclusive report. And Barbara, tell me what you know. Well, Brooke, new military tensions now with Iran. CNN has learned it was last Thursday, just 1 week ago, that two Iranian Su-25 old Russian fighter jets that the Iranians operate flew out into the Persian Gulf, into international airspace, and fired on a U.S. Air Force Predator drone, an unmanned drone in international airspace that the Pentagon insists was conducting routine, although classified, maritime surveillance. The Iranian aircraft fired continuously. They did not hit the drone. The drone was able to return to base in that region. But this does raise some serious new tensions with Iran. It was, of course, just a few days before the presidential election here in the United States. Officials that we have talked to or who are confirming it after we questioned them say they just don't know at this point what the Iranians were really up to. Were they just out to cause trouble, or were they really trying to bring down that U.S. drone, Brooke?
So as you point out, this is clearly raising tensions. Could this be considered an act of war?
Well, it's an interesting question, I suppose, for the Pentagon lawyers. The thing is, you know, they fired, the U.S. believes, we're told, in an unprovoked fashion. They say that the drone was in international airspace about 16 miles off the Iranian coast in the northern end of the Gulf.
Real quick, man. Let an Iranian anything be 16 miles off our coast. Okay? Let an Iranian tugboat be outside our coast. See what happens. Alright, that's the hypocrisy of Babylon the Great, you know. They can do whatever they want, but then as soon as another nation starts to do something, it's all bad, you know. So that's the hypocrisy of it, which the nations are awake now, you know.
And that it was completely unprovoked and without warning. The Pentagon, through the State Department, has protested to the Iranian government. The Pentagon says it hasn't heard anything back from Tehran.
Barbara Starr at the Pentagon, thank you.
That's that video. Let's jump right into the second one.
Good afternoon. I can confirm that on November 1st, at approximately 4:50 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, an unarmed, unmanned MQ-1 U.S. military aircraft conducting routine surveillance over the Arabian Gulf was intercepted by Iranian Su-25 Frogfoot aircraft and was fired upon with guns. The incident occurred over international waters, approximately 16 nautical miles off the Iranian coastline. The MQ-1 was not hit and returned to its base safely. We have briefed relevant members of Congress on the incident. The United States has communicated to the Iranians that we will continue to conduct surveillance flights over international waters over the Arabian Gulf, consistent with long-standing practice and our commitment to the security of the region. We have a wide range of options, from diplomatic to military, to protect our military assets and our forces in the region, and will do so when necessary.
I don't have a map of the region, but is 16 miles off, you said it was 16 miles off the coast. Is that not Iranian airspace per se, as it would be 16 miles off our own coast here? And can you say definitively that the drone was never over Iran?
Our aircraft was never in Iranian airspace. It was always flying in international airspace. The internationally recognized territorial limit is 12 nautical miles
12.
off the coast.
So 12 nautical miles is the international line. So they pretty much riding the line of that. That's what I said. If let an Iranian, if they had drones, let an Iranian drone be 12 miles or 16 miles off our coastline doing anything. Okay? It's just this. The devil is fork tongue, man. Okay? That's why the Gadites call him fork tongue. Say one thing, there's always two things coming out his mouth when he's saying it. Alright?
or entered the 12 nautical mile limit.
Alright, let's get right into this third one real quick.
News out of the Pentagon as it Fox News alert, more on our breaking news out of the Pentagon as it confirms that news out of the Pentagon as it confirms that Iran fired on an unarmed U.S. drone back on November 1st. The unmanned Predator drone was apparently conducting routine surveillance some 16 miles off the coast, and the attack marks the first time ever that a U.S. drone has been fired upon by Iranian fighter jets. We've asked John Bolton, our former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, to come back, and he did. Thank you, sir. And back with us as well as our national security correspondent, Jennifer Griffin, who's live at the Pentagon. Ambassador, I'm going to get you to react in a minute, but Jennifer, I just want to clear a couple things up with you because you said this is the first time it's happened. The drone was doing routine maritime surveillance. It wasn't hit. Does the Pentagon say this was an act of war?
Well, the Pentagon wouldn't go there. George Little was asked that question during the briefing, and he said he wouldn't get into, quote, legal characterizations.
Man, because they know
you mentioned, the first
it could have been running. Okay, this thing could have been running from the coastline. Okay, and then it got to that line, and then they said, "Oh, you fired upon me! You fired upon me!" You know that old game kids used to play. You know, you test the lines, you test the waters. How do we know this thing wasn't in their territory spying and the jets didn't chase it out? Okay? You can't be unwise as Satan's devices, man. Fork tongue.
An American drone has ever been fired on by Iranian aircraft, fighter jets, and it was in international waters. It was 16 miles off the coast of Iran. It also is important to point out, Megan, that this was a classified mission. That suggests that while the Pentagon may say it was routine surveillance of the maritime straits, it was a classified mission.
Ambassador, your reaction?
Well, you know, the Iranians have gotten at least one other American drone. They claim they shot it down. We claim that it landed by malfunction. But in any event, they're obviously intending to show that they're prepared to use force to brush us back. And I think, although the timing of this was before the election, I think there is something to the proposition that the Iranians are trying to show to the United States that any use of military force against their nuclear program would not go unattended.
Jennifer, is there any understanding about whether the Iranians intended to bring this thing down or were, shooting but missing intentionally just to sort of, put a thumb in our face?
Well, it's a good question, and U.S. military intelligence isn't sure if the Iranian fighter jets, the Su-25 Frogfoot aircraft, whether they missed because they were a bad shot or whether they were warning shots. I think they were taking the shooting pretty seriously, and they missed. And also to add to what Ambassador Bolton said, that Sentinel drone that went down...
You hear that pride, man? That's some pride right there. Instead of saying they could have just been warning shots. Iran's not stupid. It knows it shoots down this drone, and it would have been more of a hubbub. It would have been on Americans' best interest for them to shoot it down. That's why it was unarmed.
Inside Iran was flying on a classified mission, and it had crossed in. This is the one months ago that was brought down somehow inside Iran. That was a very a big loss for the Pentagon. It was a stealth drone, and it was on a classified mission inside Iran, taking a look at some of Iran's nuclear sites.
Do you believe that this was not disclosed, Ambassador, because it was a classified mission? In other words, is there any reason to doubt that that was the reason, given that this happened a couple of days before a presidential election?
Yeah, well, not clear why it's come out now, but I do think that we've got, I hope anyway, lots of drones inside and outside Iran looking at their nuclear operations, their ballistic missile programs, the disposition of their forces. Nobody should be surprised that we've got drones and other equipment up there. I would think that the Iranians did want to shoot this down, and if they could, capture it and use it for their own purpose.
The other thing Jennifer mentioned was that we protested the incident. We're up against another hard break. I'm going to hold you guys over because to whom, and is there more we could or should be doing? That's what we'll talk about next. Fox News Alert as we get more on this information that an unmanned U.S. Predator drone was shot at by Iranians, was not hit, but the incident happened on November 1st, and we are just now learning of it. I want to start with you again, Jennifer. We protested the incident. What does that mean?
Man, with this, I'm going to say,
Well,
Shalom,
that
I'm
means
going to post
that
a
the
video.
State Department through the
I'm going to post a video, and you brothers can watch it. And all I wanted to give was just a insight to show this thing's brewing, and it's almost there. So with that, I'm going to say, all praise to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Dabba Honesty Elders of GMS, and shalom to all you brothers out here watching.